Hello and welcome to another episode of the Chrissy Mayer podcast. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening to us right now on iTunes, please go ahead and leave us a 5-star review. Check out this review from Nitwit. Chrissy Mayer has taken two of the greatest things ever, laughter and sex, and merged them into one phenomenally funny podcast. Her guests are a who's who of current comedians and social media stars. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you think. It'll make you glad you got in the ground floor of this rising star and hilarious lady. Thanks, Nitwit. Ooh, that's a good review. That's a good review. Thank you very much for that review. Quick shout out to our sponsor, Cushy Dreams. I don't know what accent that is that I'm doing right now. Cushy Dreams, they are my go-to for all things CBD related. They offer a full lineup of premium smokable CBD. They specialize in extraordinary CBD-rich hemp flower, also known as bud, in cans and pre-roll CBD joints. I personally really like the Hustle pre-rolls. Like, I like the joints. They're convenient. They're portable. Like, they come in a little 5-pack. You can slip this into your purse, your makeup bag, whatever. It's so perfect. It's clean. It's tidy. This thing opens up. I won't even finish a whole joint. I'll just have like a couple pulls. I'll be calmed down. I'll be ready for the day. I like it because I can enjoy all the health benefits of CBD without getting high. There's under 0.3% THC in all of these products. It's cannabis that ships directly to you, and it's legal in all 50 states. Join the men and women who are sick of vapes and gummies and want to smoke their CBD. Looks, feels, smells just like high quality marijuana, but it's not. They take the artisan approach. Every run is in a small batch, 100% hand trimmed, never machine trimmed. They do tons of independent lab tests to show compliance and purity, all of which can be posted and found on their website, cushydreams.com. Here you go. You check out the whole lab results section. And they've got all the details there. Each batch is slow cured for 2 to 4 weeks to guarantee maximum freshness and preserve flavor and cannabinoids. And best of all, it's grown here in the USA. Cushy Dreams has CBD flower in pre-rolls and in the bud, and they come in specific indica sativa blends like Create, Energy, Relax, Hustle, Dream. So whatever you want to do with your day, Cushy Dreams has your back. Go to cushydreams.com, KUSHY, and get some high quality CBD bud. At checkout, use promo code CMP. You're going to get 20% off every single order. I think also free shipping. Smoke your CBD, guys. This last year's been crazy, and we all need help with our anxiety. All right, guys, enough of that. I'm so excited to have this guy on the podcast today. We've been friends. This is my makeup free episode. Just because I didn't feel like doing it. This is my fellow buddy from Compound Media. He's a freelance writer. He's a freelance editor for Entrepreneur.com. He's also the host of Morning on Compound Media. It's Bill Schultz.
Thanks for having me, kiddo. I was very excited.
Happy to have you. Not sure if this is a technical snafu on your part, but it does say Awesome McBigcock on your lower third there.
Oh, that's my pseudonym. Yeah. Yeah. I should have added that for your intro, but yeah, I'm glad we could give it a little publicity. That's what I write under at Entrepreneur. Yeah.
Bill, you're like, you were one of the first like non-specifically comedians that I met at Compound Media. And like, I was very impressed with you right away because you came from like a serious news background before. If you want to could you tell a little bit about how you came to be at Compound Media? Because I know you started out at Fox, and initially you were brought on to kind of replace Gavin McInnes.
Yes, Gavin recommended me. I'm always thankful for him for that.
So explain how you went from, I don't know if Fox Media was your first job in news, but yeah, tell us the story of how you came to be on Compound Media.
Well, I majored in print journalism in Emerson because I saw the future. Ooh. And it was print. Yeah, it's print journalism.
Newspapers, yes.
Yes, yeah. Fucking kill me. And so it was a magazine.
Huh? That's just in. Get a newspaper.
Yeah, God. a series of bad decisions. And so let's see. I was never in broadcast. I did like a couple of TV stuff here and there for various lad mags that I worked for. And in the industry, not that there is an industry anymore, but lad mags would be something like a Stuff magazine.
Oh, Maxim, right? Remember Maxim?
Yes, exactly. And Details was my first lad mag. Yes.
I would read those magazines to see what men were thinking, and I still don't know.
Well, boy, and you would never know it from Stuff. Like I've since worked for Maxim, but like I started off with Stuff, and I met this guy named Greg Gutfeld. He was my editor-in-chief, and he hired me for this show called Red Eye, and it was on very late at night at Fox News. Depending on where you lived, like 2, 3, like the people who would watch us were like meth addicts or bartenders that were just getting off a gig.
My kind of people.
Thank you. Yes, and mine too. Oh, and also, you know what? What we found was women that were breastfeeding. They would be up that late.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, we would get a lot of emails from them. And so, so then I thought I was just going to be a writer. And I was immediately the co-host, and I fucking didn't know what I was doing. And through that, I met Anthony Cumia, who was a regular on our show. And God, I don't know. Like, I think I've told you this. I don't know if I've ever told this on air, but Cumia and I instantly became friends. I mean, he's one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. But he and I would have what we used to call the Greg sessions, because Opie's real name is Greg. And my co-host was Greg Gutfeld. And Greg and I were sort of like the stock market. We were either really up or we were really down. And there are a lot of times where Greg and I were not getting along. And so what I would do is Kumi and I would go out to Lanan's, which was another RIP. That doesn't exist anymore either.
A bar?
A bar, yes. It was a Fox News bar. And we would have the Greg sessions. And he would bitch about Opie. And I'd bitch about Greg. And that's how we became friends. And then, so all of that, sorry, this is already a long story. So through all of that, I was freelancing. I would come on Cumia's, when Cumia started the Compound Media, I would come on his show, and Gavin was leaving, not acrimonious at all. He just got more money. And Gavin,
is that when he was leaving to do censored TV?
Yes, I believe so. There was he's done a lot of stuff that I can't keep track of. But and so Gavin, God bless him, he recommended me because I go on Gavin's show too to replace him. And Cumia said yes. Keith Kopp said yes. And this is how stupid I am. When I immediately got the gig, I was like, oh, well, my vision for this thing is that it's a morning show, so I want to co-host. Ryan Seacrest and
you're just like Ryan. You're like a low budget Ryan Seacrest.
Very low budget, without the Botox, and I need it. And Keith's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like, we're already paying you so much money, so much. We're not gonna double that for a female co-host." And I kept writing writing them about that. And then about a year and a half in
of you doing it just by yourself,
by myself. Yeah. Ugh, I hated it. Well, I would have lots of guest co-hosts, but someone on Twitter, this is the only good thing Twitter's ever done. Only thing. Someone on Twitter, the person who replaced me on Red Eye, because I was not fired, was Joanne Nosachinski. And she, I'd met her once, and someone on Twitter is like, you should have Joanne Nosachinski on. And I should get this guy's name.
Someone said as a guest, have her on?
Yes, yeah. And I did, and I got to give Greg credit, man. Like she replaced me there, and she was fucking awesome. And so I have her on a lot. And, I would start telling Keith again, I think this could be the co-host. And I knew he liked Red Eye, and I knew he liked Fox News, all that stuff. So that helped. And I honestly didn't think Joanne would say yes. But I told her that she could do her auditions, and I could do the show if she has to do an audition and stuff like that. And, almost 4 years later, here we are.
Wow. It's been 4 years total, or just with Joanne?
Whoa. I think it's certainly been over 3 years with Joanne. So then I guess it's been more than 40. Oh boy, I don't understand time, but I have a very hard time. But yeah, it's around that.
You guys are really great together. You complement each other so well. You're sort of like a sarcastic, I don't know if I'm using the word sardonic correctly, but you're sort of like sometimes a little surly. And Joanne is just like a bright light. Like she is always good. If there's a weird moment, she's like, well, anyway, you know.
Well, no. See, I reject your take. I would say that she is the devil incarnate.
Oh,
and she makes everything bad. But that's how it works. I'd like to think I'm a sweet baby angel, and she
does seem like a sweet baby, and she's such a sweet little. I don't know. She's like she's a beautiful lady, and she's really great. You're both very professional.
Well, thank you, darling. She is the funny. She's probably the funniest non-comic I've ever met in my entire life. She's so weird, as you know, just like shockingly, jaw-droppingly weird.
What is the weirdest thing about her that most people don't know?
Oh God. I mean, like, for me, it's always the stuff that she finds interesting. I mean, as the show proves every day, she's really into anything poop related. And she always cringes when I say she's a fecophile because she's like, Bill, that means that I basically like to have people take a dump on me during sex. Like, I'm just really into poop, but not like in a sexual way. I'm like, I don't know, semantics.
Like in an intellectual way.
Yeah, if you can be. But she loves talking about her dumps. She loves stories about dumps, and which, by the way, I do too. But it's cuter when she does it. And she's just she's like an 80-year-old grandma in like a hot 31-year-old body. Like, that's the best way. Like, she's just really strange. But I mean, and I would never tell it to her face, but I do absolutely adore her.
Did you ever have a period where you were like attracted to her? Were you ever did you ever be like crushing?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I got eyes. I remember when she first agreed, I was like, hey, she's pretty cute. But I do fall into that thing where if it's especially someone is, now that I'm getting older, if they're a lot younger than me, it's not somebody I would hit on, I guess is the best way to put it. Well, and also she's got a great boyfriend, Douglas, too. And also, let's be honest, too, she wouldn't be into me. But I remember being like, yeah, I've got eyes, like she's hot. But immediately she was sort of like this little lady baby that I wanted to annoy. She's like this little fucking little sister I never wanted that I just love pissing off. It fell into that like that.
How much older are you than her?
Well, I'm 45 and she's 31. So that.
It doesn't seem like there's that big of a gap, to be honest. Well, maybe because you're so immature. Smart. Yeah.
Yes, I am. Yeah. Unfortunately, that has been true. But yeah, I got a lot of I don't even know if I look at Jo as a fucking little sister. I almost look at her I almost look like I'm the absentee dad. Like the dad that knocked up her mom and then never was around. I'm kind of that. But I got other friends there's Lauren Savant. You might have been on with her. That's a little closer to my age, but it was just she was always and she's easy on the eyes, but she was always just sort of that little sister that I like to annoy.
Oh yeah. Speaking of ladies that you were in, didn't you hook up with Kayla McInerney, the former?
First of all, from now on, I'm going to refer to her as Kayla McInerney. Kayla
Am I saying it wrong? Okay.
No, I dated her for 2 years. Yeah, the former White House.
Oh my God. Yep. She's cute.
I don't know. I don't see beauty.
Okay. Wow, you dated her for a few years.
Well, yeah. I mean, they always say don't shit where you eat. But I've never been good at hitting on girls at bars. And so I dated when I was at Fox News for a while, I was there for 7 years. And so those are the people I'd meet. And Kaylee was at the time a producer. Remember Governor Huckabee?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He ran for president a couple times. He used to be really fat, lost a lot of weight, and really sweet guy. I always liked him. He had a show called Huckabee. There might have been an exclamation point in it. That was on Saturdays, and she was the lowest of the low that you could be at Fox News as far as it wasn't even an AP. But it was pancake. Yeah. And so the powers that be liked her because she had started this website called Real Reagan Conservative. By the way, what a lousy URL. It's very wordy. Real Reagan conservative, and they liked that she was hot. They liked that she was Christian, and they loved that she was Reagan, and she's a very good writer. And so they liked all that. So they were really trying to get her on air, but they didn't think she was ready for real being on air at Fox News. So they put her on Red Eye a lot. And because
that's how you met?
That's how we met, yeah. And then, and also she'd do like a lot of like online video stuff. And yeah. So that was how we.
How do you remember how you first like talked to her or hit on her?
I remember when we first met. It was this is actually how I met Gino. I've known Gino for like 15 years. Ugh, kill me. But they had this thing where they wanted to do online broadcasting on one of our studios at Fox News. And I don't think it lasted. God, a strategy room, and it was this ongoing panel that was happening all day with different guests would come in. And it was a panel 24/7 live. And so they would put Kaylee on that. And I like was PG-13 tops. But I could tell that she was sort of a little out of her element. So I kind of poked fun at her a little bit. And she fucking hated me immediately. Aww. Yeah. But it was like, honestly, it was like she's a Colts fan. I would make fun of the Colts. It was stupid stuff like that. And I honestly don't remember when I sort of turned her around to going from hate. But yeah, you always gotta. With me, I gotta wear them down. It goes from hate to apathy, and then finally maybe.
That's really so much of dating is just persistence.
There you go. Yes. So at some point it switched, and you know, like for a while I did not mention that Kaylee when she became who she was. I did not mention it at all. And back to Lauren Sivan, fucking Lauren Sivan, when Kaylee gets her gig at White House press secretary, she tweets out, watching Bill Schultz's former girlfriend as White House press secretary right now. And then she prefaced it with, ugh. And I was like, cat's out of the bag now. And then Joanna and I started talking about it. But yeah, so that's about it.
Did you keep it quiet because you didn't want the attention, or you didn't think it would?
No, I didn't care about her. Me. I felt bad about her. Yeah, I didn't think she wanted anyone to know about that she dated me. Yeah.
Really? Like if somebody I dated became press secretary, I would tweet it out. I'd be like,
oh, I have since then. But
ask him about my blowjobs.
Yeah, like I have since then. Maybe not the blowjob part, but I've acknowledged it and made fun of it. And like there's a couple Man on the Streets that she and I did. That this great Front Seat Media is this YouTube channel that's got all these old Red Eye stuff that I haven't seen since I did them. And one of them that he found, the guy that does Front Seat Media, was me and Kaylee. And so we run that shit and stuff like that all the time. Yeah. And so, Lauren, after Lauren did that, I figured I could talk about it. But yeah, I just felt bad for her. Like I just I did not want her. I knew she did not want to be associated with me. Period. Yeah.
But I don't think, and Kayla was not the start or the first or the last of your Fox conquests. I keep hearing you were like the man over there. You hooked up with so many girls.
Well, all right. First of all, the thing with that is I did okay, but also I was there for a long time. And also, like, I hate to say it, but like, as long as you're like a normal human being and you're not a complete fucking prick, you got a great opportunity at Fox News as far as the old sex is concerned.
Because there's so many hotties.
There's so many attractive women there for sure. But a lot of the guys are just dicks and really horrible human beings. And so if you're not that, you're going to do okay for yourself. So I wasn't that great, but I was just better than the alternative, you know?
Did you see that movie? God, it wasn't quite a documentary, but it was with like Nicole Kidman, Margot Robbie. Sure. Yeah. And it was about Fox News, basically, like Bombshell.
Yes.
How much truth is there in Bombshell, or what do you think they left out?
Well, I'll tell you something. You know who the one fake person is on that? Margot Robbie. She's an amalgamation. And see, I should know this work better. I'm supposed to be an editor. An amalgamation, a compilation, of several people at Fox News where this occurred. But her name in the movie is Kayla. And she is from, I don't think she's from Florida, where Kaylee is from, but she is from a Midwest, and she's like she's a very Christian, and she's a big believer. She was born and raised on Fox News. Kaylee. And there's a lot of other backgrounds, and like I remember when I was watching that movie, man, and they say her name. I'm like, oh goddamn. That part of this is Kayleigh McEnany.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is that like widely known?
I've certainly tweeted it. Well, no, I don't even know if I have. I think so, I replied to someone saying, I find the background of Margot Robbie's character interesting and that her name is Kayla. And I kind of left it at that. But so maybe, yeah, I wasn't that specific on it. So I don't know, man. There you go. There's a little scoop for you.
Hot news.
And the other thing, too, is I got to tell you, I didn't give that movie like specifics, maybe a little bit. But I worked with the set designer on that movie. And by work, here's what I mean. He came to me through a mutual friend because he wanted to get the newsroom correct at Fox News. He wanted to get the second floor where Roger Ailes is at correct. And he asked me if he could buy me lunch. And you know me, piece of shit drunk that I am, I'm like, I'm going to drink at least $100 worth of beer.
That is my lunch. I mean, as much as I can drink.
Right. And boy, did I, and I really did, because he was very good, because he is sitting there taking notes the whole time. He's just asking me, because obviously Fox News wasn't going to play ball with Bombshell. So he's just asking me everything that I can remember about what the inner workings look like there. And I remember by 3 hours in, A, I'm assholed. And B, I'm like, you think you got enough? And he's like, yeah, a couple more questions. I was like, I got to tell you, like, Fox News fans ain't going to watch this movie. Like, they're going to think of it as an affront to Fox News. And so it doesn't really matter how accurate you're going to be. It's because everyone else is the other people that hate Fox News are going to watch this movie, not the fans. But either way, it was at least $200 worth of booze. So that's the only payment I got out of it. But
what did you drink?
Whatever Sullivan's was serving. But also, I definitely remember my friend had told him that I was dating Kayleigh, and he was taking notes on that too. And I didn't give him too much specifics, or I had dated Kayleigh, and I didn't give him too much specifics, but he was taking notes on all that stuff, aside from just me knowing about the newsroom and things like that. So all that shit stuck with me when I finally saw the flick, and he did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, I should have asked for like money rather than just booze.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was certainly, that crossed my mind. I think the movie overall was pretty accurate. Yeah. And like, I got to tell you, being there for 7 years with regards to a lot of the women were going through, if anything, it sugarcoated some stuff.
I remember I interviewed for a job at Fox right out of college. I think I was like going to be the assistant to, I have to look back at my emails because I was going to be the assistant to like a top person. I like didn't get the job because I was really pissed. Like right out of college, I really wanted to work for NBC. I really wanted to be a page. Meanwhile, that's a job that pays like 25 grand. You know, it's like it pays nothing. It's a terrible position.
Totally. But like,
I really wanted it.
The NBC pages.
Ugh, yeah. And I was so qualified. I'm still mad about not getting that job.
I could have known you for a lot longer.
Yeah. I gave tours at my college and I had 2 internships at NBC, Dateline and Conan. Like, what else do you want from me?
First of all, I think, we've certainly talked about it a little bit before, but the Conan internship, man, I'm so fucking jealous. Like, you know, I worship it. And that is awesome.
I was not a good student. I just, when I was at Dateline, realizing I did not want a future in news or journalism. And then I was like, I reached out to Allison Silverman, who was the only female writer at Conan at the time. And I was able to get an internship for the next school year. And I got really lucky because those internship positions are like way more competitive during the summer, because that's when all of the executives and people who work at NBC, that's when their kids are off from school. So there's a much bigger, more competitive pool for a summer internship. But I got one like in the spring when people are still at school. So you're kind of limited to who can get to New York City, you know, who's like a commute away. So I really lucked out there.
I would not sell yourself short there. We're talking about an internship with Conan O'Brien. Like, there's always going to be a huge, like, everyone and their mother is going for that, something like that. Like, no, that's like really impressive.
My intern
That's
class
awesome.
was wild. Ellie Kemper was in my intern class. She went on to do The
Wow.
Office.
Sure.
I remember she was like 26 during the internship because I was like, oh, isn't she like old? Because I was a college senior, so I was like 20. And I was like, she was like older, but and then she ended up marrying Michael Coleman, who was a writer on Conan at the time. Like that's where they met.
Oh,
And
wow.
Adam Yenzer ended up working for Conan or Ellen for a few years. This guy, John Bander, who went into improv. Liz Mealy, who is a stand-up comic.
Sure, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was like,
Yeah.
she
Oh, man,
was
it's a good breeding ground. You got Bob Odenkirk. You know, he was one of the original writers. Robert Smigel, original writer. Louis C.K., original writer. I mean, like, good comedy comes from.
I guess.
The Conan Forest.
I had an okay experience. Like, I just remember the intern, and it's probably the similar at Fox, but I mean, you were never an intern there, but like, it was so competitive. Like, everyone is there kissing ass. There's just this feeling that you have to be kissing ass 24/7, like from the moment you walk in till the moment you leave. And you're not even doing anything meaningful. You're like picking up food, ordering food, getting coffees.
Yes. See, and by the way, that's so cool. Like, I thought it was so great that I got an internship at Boston Magazine. You know, I was like, I can't believe I leapt the line for that one. And I did the exact same thing, but I wasn't working for Conan. What was the best and worst? Like, and also, how much interactions did you actually have with Conan?
Really, I remember there was a day where I touched or went to go get, like, I'm not touching his food, but I went and like, I had all 3 meals that he had that day. Like, I went to go retrieve. Not very much. I just remember he was very tall, very thin. His hair was huge and swoopy.
Amazing.
You know, like,
it's a landmark.
I was mostly with the writers, and I was mostly just like, that's when I learned, like, being around comedy people are my people, and it felt so much better than working in a news environment. Jose Arroyo was a writer that I talked to a lot there. He gave me like a book about comedy.
So cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Like, a little bit, this guy, what the hell was his name? Brian something or other. He would do a lot of characters. He had like red hair. I can't remember his name. But again, you're like basically fighting off other interns just to talk to these writers. Like, they're always swarmed, and I like didn't have a lot of confidence. So I was just like, you're anxious the whole time because you know that you're only this, you know, when this internship ends, you know that everyone is dying to be hired. And it's like, it makes you really anxious just to be there because you're like, I don't know.
I can't imagine. I would not have done well in that type of environment. Oh, and by the way, speaking of Joanne's love of poop, I do have to ask you, what was Conan's regular diet like? Because Joanne I'll repeat it to Joanne, and she'll be able to think about what possibly his Conan craps were like.
What I do remember is that he really loved flavored bubble gum. I don't know. I forget the brand. Okay, I used to know the brand. Might have been Extra. He liked flavored bubble gum. He liked to eat vanilla Stonyfield Farms yogurt. We always had to have that like stocked. I remember one time I had to pick up his credit card from ESCA. ESCA. It was like a bar. I had to like run over and go and pick up the credit card. And then one time I had to pick up a dinner from him. For him, it was from like City Lobster. God,
well, she'll like that. Oh, yeah. Joanne's a big Red Lobster fan.
Yeah.
City Lobster sounds a little too fancy for her.
She's
a trashy Jersey girl.
Oh, yeah. I remember anytime they would be like, oh, go get, and you'd get coffee for a bunch of people. And then they'd go, oh, get yourself something. And it was the first time in my life I could order something other than like a plain coffee, because they would, they'd go to Starbucks, they'd get whatever you want. I'd be like, holy crap, I'd get like a sugar-free. I would always order a sugar-free vanilla latte or something like that, because I thought that was like the fanciest thing. I was like, ooh, syrup.
Fucking absolutely. You should have ordered 5 of them.
Well, I didn't want to
like a doggy bag. and like reheat them the next morning. Like,
yeah, I didn't want to be too much. I didn't have your drinking habits, Phil. I just was like, ooh.
You were a piece of shit like me, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, and if you were the intern that was in charge of dinner, like you could have you could order a dinner for yourself, and you could have a free meal. Like that's like we weren't getting paid at all. Like this was before internships were paid. We just like got a college credit. And
I know, and you know what? Like I remember when that whole ethos of interns should be paid thing was happening. And it was people like you and me that were like, well, fuck that. We didn't get paid. But in my mind, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, no, yeah, they should get something. Like I remember working my ass off at Boston Magazine. And just 24/7. It was harder than anything I did at Emerson.
I remember, it was. I think the highlight of my Dateline internship was one time. It was like a late night, and they sent me back to college in a black car, like in an SUV or something. Like they were like, no, it's late. We're going to pay for your. So this black car drove me from Rockefeller Center to Fairfield, Connecticut, like dropped me off in front of the freaking townhouse. And I was like, I got out so slow. I was like, can everybody see me? Like I wanted everybody to see me getting out of this like car. Isn't that so sad? Like that's
no, are you kidding me? That's exactly what you do when you're 20. And I would have done the same thing. Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, they always say never interview your heroes because you're always going to be disappointed. But boy, you were probably in diapers. But I remember it was, I want to say 2003, and it was the 10th anniversary of Late Night. And again, I'm like an obsessive Conan fan. And I was at Dennis Publishing, which did Stuff Magazine and Maxim. So we were sister publications. And it was a foregone. Maxim was far bigger. And Stuff was kind of like a parody of Maxim. Like I always said with Stuff, like we drew you in with the babes and then we tackled you with our homoerotic agenda. Like all of our captions would just hit on the reader. It'd be like, hey man, isn't she hot? So you maybe take a shirt off. We should hang out later. And like our captions would be this long. It would just be hitting on in a male voice, our reader. And so I was like, no fucking way. Conan is going to do his guy feature with us. And I did almost a year-long campaign to convince Conan to do Stuff rather than Maxim. And Maxim was really pissed at me. Wow. But I started emailing relentlessly. I knew the NBC publicist for Conan. And I kept sending him clips of stuff the stuff was great. So as much as I hate the theme, the cliche cult following, it very much had that. And Red Eye was an apple that did not fall far from the stuffed tree. And finally I got this, I don't think they even do it anymore, but I got this, they used to do cookies that were like a cookie bouquet. And I did it, but you could do it with pictures on them that you could eat. And I did it of every character at the time. So it's like the coke-addicted werewolf, the masturbating bear. I had one of Conan, and I sent it immediately to his office, and I had a long letter about why you got to do stuff in Maxim, and he did it. And it was the best. I still
what year? Do you remember what year you sent the cookie bouquet?
2003, maybe tops. 2002.
Oh man, that was like I was there 2005, so I just missed it.
Yeah, and you would have enjoyed it. Those cookies were delicious, and it was every character, and that's back when you could expense things in publications, and it was unbelievable. Conan, first of all, he has this photo shoot with us, and we would have like big name stars and stuff for like guy features, and the office was already so jaded that even as young as we were, half the time they would never go to the photo shoots if they were in New York. But I remember I told the office, I'm like, guys, I'm going to go to the Conan photo shoot. Anyone want to come? Every single person. Every single person came. And Conan is just this guy where the photographer got mad at me, and I didn't even interview him yet, where Conan was unbelievable to our intern or our feature editor or whatever. Like, it didn't matter who it was. Conan was amazing to all of them, talked to them all, and finally the photographer's like, you got to get him out of here. Like, we got to finish this photo shoot. You're costing money. And he just would talk. And he knew we were all fans. And then when I finally interview him, he takes me to a live show or live to tape. And then I'm told, like, you just stay in the seat while everyone else leaves. Well, first of all, he recognized me in the audience. And he does a warm-up act. And he had me dance with him
Oh,
and then
wow.
I got to get Max Weinberg's drum thing and everything like that. And
You
I'm
know
all
who's
right.
a dick is Max Weinberg.
I have heard things.
Really?
Yes.
I was neutral on it until I made friends with the Max Weinberg got his own intern, and he like didn't bother to learn her name. And I remember like me and this girl Melanie, who also I think went into improv or something, but we would joke all the time that like Max Weinberg would like demand to be carried to the bathroom. You know, like we would always joke around like, oh, like where's Max's intern? Max needs to be carried to the bathroom. Like he needs his food chewed for him. But like, yeah, I remember him being a dick and then hearing that he just wouldn't learn this girl's name. I was like, ugh.
I heard some things. And also, like, yeah, I get it. You're on the E Street Band, Bruce Springsteen, all that shit. But the bottom line is, dude, you're the drummer on the E Street Band. Like, settle down.
I can't understand.
There's a reason when Conan moved on that he didn't bring him with.
Yeah, I can't imagine being so famous that you just forget what it's like to be
right.
You know what I mean? An intern, a waiter, a waitress, like unless you've never been any of those things and you just like have blown up at a quick pace. But I just was like, ugh.
Well, and by the way, and again, this is all stuff that you as an intern were already used to. But like, I stay there, and then Conan comes back on the stage after everyone's left, and he's like, I go up on the stage, do a hard right, and then just go right into his office. And for a guy feature for something like a Stuff or a Maxim, figure it's like 5 pages tops, the most. And so as a result, what you would probably do is like an hour interview tops. I was there for 3.5 hours.
Whoa!
And I brought so many tapes and finally, God bless Conan. He's just like, he's exhausted. It's right after the show. And he kind of gets back in his seat. And he's got all this cool Simpsons stuff and shit like that in his office. And he's just like, all right, man. You think you got enough? And I'm like, my tape recorder's still shaking. I'm like, yeah, I guess I do. I just wanted to hang out with him for as long as possible. It was the best. Like, yeah. And and to this day, it is a highlight. He is. And so anyway, another long-winded story. They always say don't interview your heroes. And I think that's probably usually true. But with Conan, he was even better than I thought he was going to be.
Wow.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
So how do you feel about his show finally ending?
I don't know, man. I know he's got this like Netflix thing, right? Where it's like, but like less Conan is always a bad thing, you know? And this is less Conan. So I'm not psyched about it. And
he did have a really long run though.
Yeah. Well, also I got to tell you, just like, just superficially, it just makes me feel old. Like the fact that Conan is like the old, like I remember
He's
his, I was an early adherent. I saw him from his first episode because I was a huge David Letterman fan. And, and actually, look, I got, this is
God, look at that.
Yeah. I got this when my parents took little Bill to New York. I grabbed this and watched David Letterman when he was on there. Wow. And so you could call this vintage. But and so it's just like, and I remember thinking, wow, Conan seems very young. And I was much younger. Can't emphasize that enough. But like now the fact that now he's the old stalwart of late night, and he's kind of pseudo, at least retiring from that format, makes me feel very old. Yes.
Well, you know what? It's been a lot happened in a few years in terms of media, in terms of social media, and like the changing landscape of television and entertainment. And so
it's a battered format. Yeah. I mean, it does kind of, I think, need to die, but, but yeah, it's, he's great though. I'm very jealous of that internship, man. That is so cool.
It sounds impressive, but
it is impressive. Everyone, again, I'm telling you, I don't think you are aware of how many people you beat out for that gig. Like that, it never even would have occurred to me to even apply for something like that because I knew I wouldn't get it, you know? So that's very impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't think about it. I think like, all right.
Jesus, that's huge.
I don't know if it helped me get any job though. I remember being on interviews for jobs and they'd be like, oh, Conan. And then, I mean, my first job out of college, I gave tours at Radio City Music Hall. I mean, I had a series of terrible jobs that paid nothing. And I had to memorize like a thick binder of facts. about the Rockettes, and it also paid nothing. I had to wear a horrible like 3-piece polyester suit, pants up to here.
Guys. Yes. Yeah,
I
pass those guys every day. Yeah. Well, I used to before the pandemic. But
are you from Boston? Are you from New York?
I'm from the burbs of Chicago originally. I lived in Boston for a little bit after I graduated. And it's funny you mentioned that because my last gig in Boston, I had just gotten hired as a Fenway Park tour guide for probably about as much money as you were making at Rockefeller Center. And I had to study all this stuff. Like I'll talk to Red Sox fans, and I'm not a Red Sox fan, but I'm like, I know more about the Red Sox than any of these fuckers do. And, you know, they're very passionate, but like you had to memorize all that stuff. And I was very excited about it because a lot of people applied to do it for like horrible money. And then right when I said yes, and I just kind of figured I'd live in Boston for the rest of my life, I got a editorial assistant gig at Details and moved to New York. Like that day. Yeah.
Magazines were hot. Like I really loved magazines when I was like a teenager and like early 20s. I don't know. It was like fun. Like magazines were kind of glamorous.
They always say that the last to go will be the women's magazines. Because women like something, women, first of all, are the only ones that really pay attention to the ads. Men don't do that. And so that was one of the death knells. But women like something that they can hold on to while they're at the pool. They've done studies on this. Like, yeah. And so like the Cosmos and the Glamours and the Mary Claires, they'll be the last to go. But mark my words, they're on their way. They're going. Yeah.
Like my sister, who's only 2.5 years older than me, so she's like, wow, she could be 40 this year. She loves a magazine before a flight, a magazine at the pool. So she's born in 81, so she I think is the last. And I like kind of don't care about I'm more into books, so I think the magazines sort of will die with her.
And you know, and I really, you know, as a kid and all that stuff, like I loved them, and it's just, again, I saw the future by getting into print. Fucking ugh.
And but you're crushing it on Compound Media. What do you love about what you do, and what do you think are the biggest challenges of doing the show?
Well, I always worried when I got Joanne that there's like, I think that I do to a certain extent think there's a sell-by date with co-hosts where eventually they're just going to fucking kill each other. And Joanne, by the way, make no mistake, Joanne does not like me. She finds me, no, she doesn't. She finds me very annoying. The thing I would say about Joanne is that she knows, she trusts me, and Joanne doesn't trust anybody. And by the way, she hates the fact that she trusts me. And she knows I got her back. But no, she finds me very annoying. But like, we don't like, I mean, she doesn't hate me, but she's annoying. But we don't like, we still get along as much as after what I just described.
It's amazing. Like 4 years in co-host.
Yeah. And like with what happened with me and Greg, and also just seeing what happened with Kumi and Opie, you know, I just kind of thought, you know, like stuff like Simon and Garfunkel, crap like that. Not that I'm comparing anything I do to that, but there is a sell-by date, and that's been the best part with Morning is that so far, I mean, she's annoyed by me, but she doesn't want me killed. So that, you know, that's nice. Good. That's good. And it's great to have, and that's why I'm always so impressed with all the stuff you do, and with our network, with the Wet Spot, because you're a lot more on your own a little bit than I am. You guys have more guests, but like it is your thing. Like at the very least, if I'm like super hungover or something like that, I can fucking lean on Joe, you know? So it's a little more on you.
I wonder if it's because, you know, I come from stand-up, which is very much like a solo sport.
Yes.
And and I think it's just something about my personality where I am very hesitant to depend on other people. I think that's just how I grew, like just how I grew up, and like, maybe it's not having a great relationship with my dad. I don't know. That I can always like tie that back to everything.
No, but by the way, it makes sense. Yeah.
And I mean, I think I also am really lucky to have had like 10 years in stand-up, 5 years in improv. So I feel like in terms of like booking Wet Spot, I know a lot of people. you know.
Yes, yeah.
But it's weird, even though knowing a lot of people, there's still a lot of people who won't fuck with me now, and just like whatever they think of Compound Media, they're just like, oh, it's right wing, you know, like there's like if they're whatever
I get
dumb
that a lot with
assumptions
booking,
they have.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, and also like that was the other intimidating thing too, because again, like I really like Joanne and I are like the only people there that are not stand-up comics, you know, and
Philippe Starks. He's not,
yes,
right?
There you go. Sorry.
And Eastside Dave is not. He's like a whack packer.
Yeah, but you know what the thing with Eastside Dave is he's very good. He's got such an experience with radio and knows how to talk for 3 hours on end. Well, I don't do that. And like, and as you know, because you'll get like annoying that we always tell you not to read, buttload of stories that we always give all of our guests. Because like, I always feel like I need to over prepare because I'm not that, you know. And I like my whole thing with morning, and it annoys Joanne, as most things I do, and it annoys Bobby and Steve too. But like, I always go back. I don't know, you're probably too young to remember this. My favorite ad campaign of all time, I thought it was brilliant, it was for the Bureau of Tourism for the Bahamas. And the ad campaign was this: you don't have to do everything, but it's nice to know it's there. And that's what I look at. And I thought it was so great. And then they just show all the cool things you can do at Bahamas when you just get drunk on the beach.
Right, because you have so many articles that you'll talk about from morning, and you won't get to them all. But it is so nice to know. You're like, okay, these are here, so I don't have dead air.
Right, and I got the video edited. I got all that shit. And like, and there've been times recently where we've had two guests cancel last minute. And you know what we did? We didn't do worry because we had all this other crap. And like, yeah, it was Joe and I did the show, and it was totally fine. And so that's when I'm sort of like, you fuckers. Like,
I hate when people cancel. I never like that.
Worst.
I think until you do a show and you're responsible for running a whole show by yourself, like you just don't respect or appreciate like what goes into it.
Without a doubt. And like, obviously sometimes like if it's like a medical thing or something like that, you totally understandable. Well, we have a thing on our show where it's called No Show Mofo.
Do you put him on a brown list? I definitely have like a brown list going.
Yeah, I got one. Well, you know what? Joan's got one. I'm more forgivable than Joe is. Joe holds a grudge. And like, there'll be a lot of times where I'll have a guest on because they're good, but they flaked a couple times last minute. And Joe's like, no, we're not having it. And she's right. And I'm too much like a dumb puppy. But yeah, we have No Show Mofo where I read the, and it's just like a dumb, great graphic, fan. And I'll read the email excuse.
Oh, that's great.
And then Joe guesses what the real reason was. And so we do that.
I bet with morning it's a lot of, oh God, I wasn't prepared to wake up early, or they wake up late and they're just not going to make it. Yeah. They didn't plan well.
Well, and that's the thing, like, not to besmirch your trade, because you, my dear, are very responsible. But some comedians, I've learned, might wake up a little late. Yeah. Yes. And we've talked about it, like we're relying too heavily on comedians, I think, sometimes, because that does happen a lot. Yeah.
That's frustrating.
No, please. I know. I didn't mean to do a swan song here. Like, I
would get frustrated too. Like, even with like Mike Figs, who was he was sort of a co-host, sort of an announcer, whatever. Like I would notice he would starting like, I guess, I don't know, maybe last summer, he would start to bail a little bit like once a month kind of bail. It was like more and more. And I was just like, man. Until finally, and I would have never fired him. I would have never told him to hit the road, but he quit. And he was like upset one day and he quit. And I was like, all right, you're out. I'm not going to be this like pathetic chick who's going to just take back somebody. It's like you get broken up with and then the person's like, all right, well, and it's like, no, like I'm very much like when I get dumped, I'm stone cold Steve Austin. And that's very much
I'll tell you what, like, man, you and Joe have a lot in common. That's very her.
I do forgive, but I don't forget. I think maybe Joe and I have that in common.
Joe doesn't get, and she'll say this a lot, Joe doesn't really get like into fights with people. Her whole thing, and I also think this is kind of a Jersey thing, is you're dead to me. Done, like not talking, no responses. She's very much you're dead to me. And there have been like a couple times where we're 50-50. It is as much her show as it's mine. But there have been a couple times, where I've like wanted other people back, and I'm like, no.
Who is she like? Who is she like? Really
I'll tell you off
despised?
camera.
Oh man. Okay.
Oh, we all, you know him. But
all right.
And like with Figs, like we both love Figs. He's very talented.
So talented.
He's such a sweetheart. But like, this is another thing that I found with comedians, very sensitive.
Like you can't take everything personally in showbiz in any capacity.
Yeah, and like I didn't know that until I didn't ever really like hung out with comedians until Red Eye. We'd have a lot of them on. And I started becoming friends with them. And from like the guys that would be the mainliner comedy seller to up and comers across the board, hyper, super sensitive. Like it just makes you, and it blew my mind. I like because I figured
in a way I think all comedians are sensitive because like what makes you if you have strength in your observational skills and you're able to like the same thing that makes Figs like really good at impressions. It's observing, it's being sensitive, it's picking up on physical cues, on tics, on like verbal details. That's the same thing that like okay, the flip side of that skill is you read too much into shit. And like I've definitely done that too.
Said. That is so that by the way, you've just made sense to something that I never had made sense to before because I never understood what comedian, but that makes complete and total sense.
Because you pay more attention, like it's a positive and it's a negative.
Well, and that's why I love comedians. I love hanging out with them because of that. But I think you're absolutely right. With that comes just
great.
They read too much into everything. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I want to know quickly because I think when I started at Compound Media, this drama was already kind of in play. I never understood how it came to be. Could you briefly describe how you got into a beef with Kevin Brennan?
Oh God, yeah. So Kevin had a show, one show a week on Compound. He made it
Burning Bridges.
Burning Bridges, yeah. And
he was gone. His show finished like right as I was getting into Compound.
Okay. Yeah. And like, well, this is the thing, Gav. I would just like, I don't normally quote Gavin that often. Love him, but we don't necessarily see eye to eye a lot. But Gavin would always say, like, as long as you don't mess with my, I'm butchering it, but it was something along the line is don't mess with a man's job sources. I've got to get drunk.
They're bad.
Don't mess with a man's job and don't mess with his family. And fucking Kevin, man, right when I got hired, I think Kevin wanted he wanted to have a morning show every day. I don't know, looking at this show once a week, I'm like, dude.
He would be hard to look at every morning. He's just like super negative.
So am I. I can't say that. But like I've certainly got that as well. But like he would never be able to put the work in. And also he didn't put shit into his crappy show that was on the network. But and he's got very passionate fans. I have to be careful. But he immediately was trying to get me fired. And I never met this dude. I never
right out the gate.
Right off the gate.
Threatened by you.
And by the way, you know how I knew that? Because the higher-ups would tell me. And part of them, I think, I don't know if they wanted some sort of like old school 90s radio conflict, some shit like that. Yeah. But I was, and you know me, I don't get mad that much.
I feel like you're easygoing.
Thank you. Yeah. Again, I'm a dumb puppy, but I was pissed, but I didn't say anything. And then when I got Joanne, he started going after her, and that was it. And at that point, especially like from my end, go after me all you want, but I had just gotten Joe, and you want her to be okay with what she's coming into. And for him to just immediately, and there was no punchlines in it. It was just gross fucking shit. And for him to do that right off the bat, and I'm like trying to make her comfortable, I was like, you fucking dirty piece. So
he was insulting her.
Oh, yeah. Like I'm trying to remember the examples, but it was a while ago. And and also like, I don't want to say too much, but he's kind of like, I know these type of dudes. They're good talkers, When you get face to face with them, pussies. I've not won a lot of fights in my life, but I'm not afraid to get into a fight. And I'm going to hurt you before you actually knock me out. I will hurt you. But maybe it's more like this. But I'll hurt you. And
it just
he's
seems
just
like
a fucking pussy. And like anytime I would actually engage him face to face, just a little butterfly. And even I would come on his show because again, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. Like I don't like this. I don't like this. I would come on his show. Fucker, when I invited him on my show, he's like, hey, you know, you're going to have all of your red eye friends there, and they're going to gang up on me. I'm like, who the fuck are you? You're 60 years old, dude. And no, by the way, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't even think that far ahead. And so it was just a lot of that. And I'll tell you what, Chrissy, I know I'm doing a long-winded thing here, and I don't want to get too much into it. I still assume he's probably going to win. Yeah, I really do think that at some point he's going to come back into Compound Media. I'm sure Joanne will stay as long as she wants, but I'll be gone. And I can see that happening. And well, whatever. I had a good run.
Do you have like plans or goals that don't involve Compound? Now, I'm not saying do you have an exit plan, but like, do you? Yeah, like what's next? What do you think you would like to?
Yes.
Accomplish?
And God, we should just have a drink at some point I feel like you're a much more better multitasker than I am. I find myself, and this is a big problem when you get older too, because I don't have the drive and the fire under my ass that I used to. But like, I find myself trying to scrape by on deadlines and stupid gigs that I get hired for minimal money, right? Rather than really focusing on what I would prefer to do and focus on that as a quote unquote job, which in and of itself is a cliche. But I'm very bad at that. And I've gotten worse. And
so thinking ahead, making big goals.
Right.
Instead of like
I'm thinking about rent. I'm thinking about like if I edit 10 articles, I'll get this amount, like all that stuff. When I need to just sit back and actually, I think there is a future. I would love to continue working with Joanne. She's the best thing that ever happened to me professionally, by far. I mean, we'll see what she says, but I know she's amenable to it. Amenable. But I think that there is a life for Morning in some other facet. And I got to tell you also, like, I have no problem being a behind the camera guy. I think Joe's a huge talent. I would just produce the fuck out of her. You know, okay. I don't need to be in front of the camera, right? But I know how to work with her. I know all of her stupid little peccadillos, like, and I know what works with her sense of humor, all that stuff. So that, like, I'd be very vague, but like,
I bet you could write a book, Bill. I feel like you have a lot of stories from.
I do, but also that's the other problem with alcoholism is you forget a lot too. I used to make fun of Gino for having a little his lame little dream diary. I can't make fun of him for it though, because like I wish back in the day I had a little journal or a little diary, just wrote down the specifics of what happened in Fox and stuff like that, because it's all gone. You know, it's just like I remember a good amount, but like the real specific stuff that could really help you, particularly if you're writing even a roman à cloche, you need those journals, man. And I didn't do it, so that's my advice for all you writers out there. keep a little journal. But yeah, well, what are you gonna do?
I was staying with Ann Coulter when I was in Florida, and
what?
She was like, "You have to help me." She's like, she had this, I guess, like you had left a bunch of shirts and clothes like in her guest house. She's like, "You have to help me."
By the way, you just buried the lead of the fucking show, and like an hour in, you didn't tell me you were at her place.
Oh my God!
Don't mention the area, by the way.
No, of course not. I just was like, I just thought it was so funny that she was like, let's go through his shirts and throw them away.
I knew you guys had met, and you know, I love her, but like, I didn't know it got to the point where you were a house guest.
I know. I didn't think that I was at that level with her either.
You told me this. This is amazing.
It was great. I was in Florida doing shows, and she just was like, "Yeah, come stay." And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm gonna come stay." She's the best. The most gracious.
Oh, she's one of my favorite people.
The most gracious, kind. Yeah. I'm sitting there. I'm like, I can't believe Ann Coulter just made me scrambled eggs. Like, I love her. I just.
Great chef. She's a good cook.
I was like, I guess we're friends.
She looks like she doesn't eat, but she's
She
a great
what?
chef. I said she looks like she doesn't eat, but she's a great chef.
Oh my god! I thought you said she looks like she does anal, and I was like, "Where are you getting that from?" I was like,
no.
"Wow."
By the way, I love that you hear what you want to hear.
I do hear what I want to hear.
But
Yeah.
oh well, actually, this is bad. By the way, this is fucking typical Coulter. She's like, and this is like a great thing about Fox News. There's a lot. I miss working.
She's got a lot of stories.
Yeah, but like this is total Coulter. You know what her Christmas gift was for me last year?
No.
2 seconds. Let me go.
Oh my goodness, what could it be? I bet it's a huge dildo.
Oh, I wish. Framed photo of her.
Ah, that's great.
Yeah, I think we're in Boston or something.
Oh, how cute. Who's that third lady?
That is one of her best friends, Elena. And this is also like, here's what a narcissist Coulter is. And I mean that lovingly. She even hangs out with best friends that look exactly like her. But yeah, I love it. And I can't believe you stayed there. And also, like, to that point of all my clothes, I've told her many times, give it to the Salvation Army. And she just feels too guilty to do it. But like, yeah, I left a lot of clothes in.
I was like, I'm not gonna leave any clothes. Yeah, I was like,
well, I like not packing for traveling. I like just going there.
That is nice. Yeah. I was skimming the leaves out of her pool at one point.
We have a lot to talk about after this. I can't believe
I love her. I know. I couldn't believe it either. I adore her.
She's very loyal. She is one of like everything that people think about Coulter is wrong.
She's so
as far as like she's a good
smart
person
and hilarious. Yeah. She loves comedy. She came to one of the shows, brought like a ton of her friends. She
loves stand-up comedy, like almost too much. Like I like going to a stand-up show, but like she's all she wants to do. But yeah, no, she's the best. She's the best, and that is awesome, man. I'm so glad that you got to hate out the Coulter compound.
Oh yeah.
Yes. That is really cool. Oh man. Like, maybe I guess we can't talk about it on air on the morning, but we'll get a drink afterwards because there's so many questions. So many questions.
Oh, well, I'll have to come back on morning soon.
I'm sending you a bunch of dates right now.
Okay.
But also, ideally in studio, please.
Speaking of stand-up,
obviously you can do Zoom
I forgot to mention this earlier, but I will be performing stand-up. Actually, this weekend, I will be because this will come out tomorrow. This weekend, I'll be performing at Scotty's Comedy Cove in Springfield, New Jersey. Then the following couple weeks after that, Thursday, June 3rd, I'll be performing at Hilarities in Cleveland, Ohio. So for tickets to both of those shows, go to ChristyMayer.com. Get tickets. They're going to be great.
She's the hardest working chick in show business, ladies and gentlemen.
Hardest twerking. Follow Bill Schultz on Twitter. Bill, where can people follow you on social media?
Oh, gosh. Well, our mutual friend Teddy does my Instagram account. I don't understand things. I'm not good with anything. So I don't know how to Instagram. But yeah, I am on Instagram. I think it's Bill Schultz 1975. Puts a lot of good morning clips on there. He does a great job. And then Bill Schultz Twitter. And subscribe to Compound. Watch West Spot. And then if you like that, watch something shitty called Morning.
Yeah.
To cleanse the palate.
Yeah, my show is it's too sexual for the morning. So yours it's a nice like cup of coffee to wake up.
It is such a good idea. It's very fun.
You're very good at what you do, Bill.
Don't patronize me, woman.
Stop. Go on. All right. I'll see you soon, Bill. Thanks for
love you, kiddo. I'm emailing you dates right the fuck now.
Okay. Bye.
And ideally in studio, please.
Okay. Of course. Oh God, I'm not gonna Zoom. Of course.